Good evening. I would like to call to order the Keizer City Council in regular session. It is Monday, March 20th, 2023, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Reed.
Here.
Councilor Hussman.
Here.
Councilor Kohler.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here.
Council President Starr.
Here.
Councilor Duran.
Here.
Councilor Cross.
Here.
And Youth Councilor Sarmiento.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you are able, I invite you to rise and all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all very much. All right. Tonight, under committee reports, I do have one signed up, and that would be Gwen Carr is signed up for Parks. Do you want to come on up?
Hello, everybody. I'm with the Keizer Parks Advisory Board, and it's my turn to do the report. There's a guy named Mark Collier. He asked for a matching grant for $7,577 to build 20 replacement picnic tables, 4 ADA tables, and 16 standard tables. They'd be pressure-treated wood and painted if needed. Robert would choose where they need to go. Lisa suggested we give $8,000 to cover any extra costs. As for the parks, Claggett Creek and Palmaceba have new tire tracks again. Country Glen needs some fill at the first step, and Wallace House has ivy in the loop at the top. Willamette Manor has some erosion. A suggestion is to plant drought-tolerant ground cover. Keizer Rapids abandoned disc golf concrete pads still around. There's a new garbage receptacle. It's a prototype made with leftover lumber from the big toy pickets. I'm getting tongue-tied here.
You're doing fine.
Matt gave an update on the Civic Center cleanup. A 30-yard debris bin was filled. This saves the city about $35,000 per year. Our 19 parks look beautiful. Thank you to Robert Johnson and his crew for taking such good care of them. By the way, Ben Miller is getting new play equipment. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Fantastic. I have a question, but it's going to be to Chief and Mr. Lawyer on the tire tracks of the parks. I thought we put boulders up to, somebody found a way around it.
Yeah, they're good at finding their way around what we put in their way.
How bad's the damage?
I haven't seen Palmacea. The other one's not too bad. I mean, it's repairable. We've had worse.
It was worse before, but I noticed the one at Palmacea, they can't, they wanted to put Lisa was suggesting we put a fence there, and with the lock, but then the utility company has a easement, and in case of an emergency, they couldn't go unlocking a gate and stuff like that. So that was why.
Historically, Palmacea hasn't been hit too often. It's been pretty lucky over the years, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
But, we've done some improvements there and increased more usage, and those with pickups that like to tear things up have found it.
Fan-freaking-tastic. All right, well.
And Claggett was at both ends, but it wasn't as bad as the last time when they had all the donuts over, just, with this wet ground and stuff, it just really looks really terrible because, the car just sinks right into it.
Well, apparently that's what the people driving those vehicles are after, is as much terrible as possible.
Yep.
On somebody else's property, so.
Yeah.
I mean, if they did it in their own front yard, nobody would care.
Yeah.
Unless they're in an HOA, and that's not my problem. So, well, thank you for that, and thank you to our park staff for working to undo what some inconsiderate people have done.
Any
But
other
thank you for all
questions?
the work on the parks, the cleanup, the Civic Center cleanup. That thing was
It was
filled to
fun.
the
It was
top.
fun. Yeah, it was fun. This is my second year doing that, so it was
Yeah.
really nice.
It was a good time.
Yeah, everybody just gets along so well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people, folks came out, and a huge shout out to the McNary Air Force Junior ROTC crew. Those young men and women, boy, they work. And boy, can Master Sergeant cook. They do well. Any other questions for Ms. Carr on the Parks report? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't have anybody else signed up for committee reports. Did I miss anybody who's here for a committee report? Okay. We'll go on then to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We have one public hearing scheduled for this evening, and that is the ordinance adopting right-of-way utility regulations and resolution adopting fees for ordinance number 2023 adopting right-of-way utility regulations. If you're here for that, stand by. Public comment is for anything other than that. And I don't have anybody signed up. Is there anyone who would like to address the council tonight? Going once, twice, all right. That will then take us to item 7A, which is public hearing, and I'll open that. On an ordinance adopting the right-of-way utility regulations and resolution adopting fees for ordinance number 2023, adopting right-of-way utility regulations. And looks like lead off will be Mr. Johnson.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'm going to ask City Recorder to get our special counsel on the phone line here before we go.
Okay. That's just really strange. Yeah. I guess it was an old one. Just resend it.
Hello, this is Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. Hold on, this is Tracy. She's online.
Okay, thank you. Again, Madam Mayor, we have our special counsel Nancy Werner on the line, and our consultant Reba Crocker is with me here. Reba's going to give a brief statement, and then we can open up. And you did open the public hearing, Madam Mayor?
Yes, I did.
Okay. One thing before I turn it over to Reba, on the dais, we have a last-minute version. We like to avoid doing this. For the benefit of Salem Electric, who is continuing to be concerned about undergrounding requirements. After looking at their latest thing late last week, Ms. Crocker, Ms. Werner, and I conversed and felt that deleting section 11A, which is on page 37 of the electronic packet, page 31 of the paper, 11AA had to do with undergrounding. We've deleted that and combined 11AB into one section. So the revised version just has a simple subsection of 11A, no subsections. And that, we believe, addresses Salem Electric's concern about the undergrounding. It certainly wasn't the city's intent to require Salem Electric or PGE to underground everything. But they were concerned that the language left that open, so that was the reason for that. With that, as you know, we've been working on this for, well, pretty much over a year with regard to changing this model, and I won't go into detail, like, you know, as I did at the meeting in February. This changes, it proposes to change the model of right-of-way regulations from a franchise model to a code model. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Reba for a brief statement so we have plenty of time for testimony.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. Thanks for having me tonight. So the cities are changing from the franchise model to this type of a code because the code is more resilient, flexible, and adaptive to changes that come along with laws and technology. So staff, we took significant time in drafting this language, and we wanted to ensure that we took careful consideration not only of the laws, but the provider needs. After we drafted it, we shared the draft with the providers to get some feedback from them. We met with several of them, and after receiving their feedback and their comments, if the city wasn't negatively impacted, we made changes, as many accommodations as we could possibly make. That included we combined the ordinances into one, so it'd be more clear. We took away the license for the communication and made it a registration because providers felt that the license requirement is more like a franchise. And if you don't own facilities, it's more of a registration. So we made that a little bit more clear that they weren't subject to franchise-like requirements. We also combined the fee resolutions into one to make it clear that there's no duplication of fees. We're not going to be charging them twice. We took away the undergrounding requirements. We're allowing new utility poles, reduced the bond amount, removed the pre-construction approval, and several other clarifying terms to accommodate their request. So what you have before you is the result of all of that information.
Any questions on that part of the changes in the resolution and development? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So before we go into the public hearing, and I have several people signed up, I do want to acknowledge for the record, there has been substantial emails sent, and Mr. Johnson, those are all referenced into the record. Is that correct?
Correct, Madam Mayor.
Okay. One, there was a big pile of them, and then we just got one, and I guess I'm confused. It was just handed to us from Portland General Electric, but it's dated January 30th. So I'm confused.
I believe that was a repeat of something that's sent later. That was the one emailed late today.
So the one that got late today is January 30th?
I think that was resent today to make sure it was before the council.
Because the looks different from the other one, but it's dated January 30th. That's my error. Okay, so it should have been dated today. Okay. So that was the second one from Portland General. Thank you for clarifying that, and that was Wendy Valise from PGE. Okay, so we have that additional one. So what I'm going to do is call up people for public testimony unless there's any additional information before we go to that step.
Correct, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Going in the order signed up, Mr. Jeff Anderson. And our protocol is to state your name and your city of residence for the record. And if you have an affiliation, please state it at that point. And then you have a total of 5 minutes.
Hey, thank you. My name is Jeff Anderson. I am a resident at 3445 Willamette Drive North, way out south in Keizer. I've been a resident of Keizer since 1978. I'm going to read my testimony that I prepared, irrespective of changes in the 11th hour that we're not aware of, that we've not been able to review. So, again, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council this evening about the ordinance to adopt right-of-way utility regulations. The city council is being asked to adopt a new ordinance that is written in a way that will significantly increase the monthly electric bills of the people who live and work in Keizer. I have a very real concern about the city of Keizer and the council that are focusing on finite resources of its citizens, and I'm convinced the council is not aware of the effect of the ordinance will have on the constituents and my members of the cooperative. One example that I would like to highlight is that the new ordinance allegedly mandates Salem Electric to underground their existing overhead system in areas where other utilities are already underground, however likely all rights of way within the city. I understand that the city consultant says this is not the intent, but language matters. This would effectively cost the cooperative millions of dollars to accomplish, and this will be passed on to our member owners through dramatic rate increases. Same electric members in Keizer, largely in older housing stock, will bear the brunt of this scheme, which puts aesthetics above safety into code. This will significantly increase rates for the cooperative members. All this before safety in sidewalks or repairing streets that are badly in need of attention. It makes no sense to replace a functional, effective, and an efficient system when the city hasn't addressed deficiencies in the services it currently provides to its residents. I understand that no one tax based and the other is part of the cooperative's rate base, but it is also imposed on the residents within the city of Keizer. This amounts to a taxation without representation. I voted on November 2nd, 1982 to create the city of Keizer with the spirit of voluntarism. We saw that we could do things differently. Voluntarism was a spirit in support of our community. This ordinance will hamper that spirit and create hardships for your constituents with no discernible benefit to our quality of life. We have other significant health and safety concerns that must be addressed before we dismantle a very effective and efficient electrical delivery system. I ask that you take the necessary time to review the ordinance to understand what the real-world implications will be to you and your constituents. After doing so, I think you will agree that this ordinance is not the right fit for the people and that the legacy of the city of Keizer, that you will vote no, ask that you will vote no on this ordinance. Thank you for your time. I'm willing to answer any questions that you may have. I would just say that I remember when we had the 3.5% franchise and it went to 5%. We put on our bills statements, the 1.5% increase. We're spending we are part of the community. We pay our fair share, nearly $250,000, I believe, to the city every year. And yet to underground a mile is anywhere between $1.5 and $2 million. That would not be borne on Salem Electric Co-op completely, but only the Keizer members. Only those in Keizer would pay that. And if you think about how much we're paying right now to make our fair share as part of our community obligation, it's substantial. And I've said, I live in the part of Keizer where sidewalks are non-existent. It seems like we've got our priorities kind of a little bit confused here in terms, I actually, when I first heard about this, my first thought is, oh my God, League of Cities has a preferred cut and paste model, probably from Lake Oswego, not the working folks in the city of Keizer. So I'd ask that you please vote no. We have not seen this 11th hour change. It was not shared with us to my knowledge, and I would love to have our council do due diligence. I've lobbied for over 40 years, so this is unusual to me. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have one question, and are you speaking on your behalf or as a member of the Salem Electric Board?
Yes, I'm the Secretary Treasurer of the Electric Co-op. I've been on the board 38 years. I am speaking on behalf of Salem Electric, but I'm also speaking as a resident of Keizer.
Thank you. I wanted to get that on the record. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. Joe Van Meter.
All of his ad hoc comments were everything I was going to say, so this will be redundant for you. Thank you for your service. Thanks for allowing me to be here tonight. It's nice to see some old friends, Tracy and Shannon, when I was on the council years ago. My name's Joe Van Meter. I live at 598 Dennis Lane in Keizer. I'm president of the Salem Electric Board of Directors and also a resident of Keizer, obviously. I've lived here 50 years, been active in the community just like you guys are. As a Keizer resident, I'm proposed about this model League of Oregon Cities ordinance and the 53 pages that hopefully you've read. We've had staff go through it ad nauseum. New things crop up all the time. Requiring Salem Electric, though, there may be some changes in that, to underground power is a cost of $1.5 to $2 million per mile. We have 50 miles of line in Keizer. That adds up pretty quick. We only have 5,226 members in South Keizer. We don't have the luxury of McNary Estates, and the Meadows. We're kind of the old part of Keizer. They would have to bear that cost, those 5,000 members. The monthly bill would be approximately 40% more if we did 1 mile per year. If we underground all 50 miles, my rate would go up 5 times. So I pay approximately $100 a month. So my bill goes from $100 a month to $500. That puts a dent in one's budget, particularly if it's a fixed budget, like many of the folks in our area. Our only source of revenue are the rates that we charge our member owners. This ordinance, as it was originally written, and I don't know what the changes are, would significantly increase the cost of electricity for homes and businesses and would have the greatest impact on those who can least afford it. The requirements within the ordinance do not improve effectiveness or efficiency. I think that's significant. There is no improvement here. There's just more cost. It simply adds more cost to people's bills. Salem Electric operates in a defined service territory granted decades ago by the PUC and has requirements to serve its members within that territory. It is positioned differently than other utilities, such as communication companies, that are included in this ordinance. I respectfully ask that the City Council join 12 other municipals and negotiate a separate franchise agreement. Excuse me, it's 15 municipals, I just found out, not just 12. Separate franchise agreement with Salem Electric to serve members within our service territory. This is a better mechanism to regulate the use of the city's rights-of-way for electric service to its constituents. Thank you for your time this evening, and I welcome comments or questions.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Next up, we have, Mr. Van Meter, we do have one question. Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Van Meter, thank you for your dedication to Keizer and all the time you spent here. I appreciate that. Now, if the undergrounding requirement was not in the contract anymore, would that make a difference for you?
I'd have to refer to our next speaker, Tony Shacker, who's our general manager. The issue for me is this is a telecom bill. This isn't an electric utility bill. We usually work by franchises. That's what we've done since before this city was around. We're 80 years old. Salem Electric's 80 years old as a co-op, electrified in 1941. We don't need 53 pages of technical jargon to keep the lights on. We had a four or five page franchise agreement, and it's worked fine for all the years you've been a city.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, next up is Tony Shecker.
Hey, that's pretty good.
All righty. I got a help from Mr. Van Meter. And again, just your name, city of residence, and then your affiliation, if you would, for the record.
Good evening. My name is Tony Shecker. I actually reside in Sublimity, but I'm the general manager at Salem Electric. Thank you, councilors and Mayor Clark, for the opportunity to speak with you this evening about the utility service utilizing the public right-of-way and communications license ordinance. Got that right. Your time regarding this issue is appreciated. As Joe indicated, we were founded in 1938. Salem Electric is a nonprofit electric cooperative. So as a cooperative, we provide electricity to our members at cost. Our members are also our owners. They're also your constituents. And we have an obligation to our membership to provide a safe, reliable supply of electricity at a reasonable rate. We have been delivering power to the membership since 1941 when we energized with Bonneville. Over the years, the city of Keizer has been an excellent business partner and been very easy to work with. And we look forward to continuing that strong relationship for many years to come. The requirements for an electric distribution system are vastly different from the needs of communications companies. One size does not fit all. As a not-for-profit electric distribution cooperative, we have been granted a defined service area through the Public Utilities Commission with an authorized territorial agreement, and we have a requirement to serve all of our members within that boundary. The supply of electricity is an essential service. Power outages are different than the loss of phone lines or internet service. Power outage is an emergency. We also have another mission, protecting the public. Our product can be dangerous. We build all of our facilities to the requirements of the National Electric Safety Code, and we meet or exceed local requirements for infrastructure. During weather events or other disruptions to the power supply, our crews work hand in hand with your public safety officers and public works departments to help get streets accessible and keep the public out of harm's way until restorations are complete. We are our community. When the community is safe and successful, so are we at Salem Electric. We would like to see a bilateral franchise agreement used for the purpose of locating facilities within the right-of-way. This is a proven model that has worked for the city of Keizer since its inception and before. The proposed ordinance has sections of significant concern to Salem Electric and our members and is contrary to our mission. The ordinance has many requirements and prohibitions that would not allow us to respond to the needs of our members as we have for years. Potential requirements, as we've read them, to underground facilities in the rights of way throughout the city where existing overhead construction is used would be extremely costly, and those costs would be passed on to our Keizer members. These instances would also require a significantly altered and expensive design and construction process that would delay development for current and potential members. So in summary, as I leave tonight, this ordinance, as written, would be extremely costly to our Keizer members, your constituents, friends, and neighbors. If passed as written, it has the potential to significantly increase rates, yet serves little purpose, nor will it improve the service that we provide. Salem Electric has a long-standing tradition of taking care of our equipment, our members, and our community, and we plan to continue doing so far into the future. We are good stewards of our system, and we are invested in providing safe and reliable electric service. I urge the council to vote against this ordinance as proposed. I also request that Salem Electric and the city of Keizer enter into a separate franchise agreement, which the ordinance would allow for the use of rights-of-way so that we may continue to provide safe, reliable electrical service to our members at reasonable rates. Thank you for your time this evening, and I welcome any questions or comments that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. And next up, we have Wendy Valise from Portland General Electric.
Good evening, Wendy Valise, and I reside in Aurora. I represent Portland General Electric this evening, and that's 121 Southwest Salmon. Mayor Clark and city councilors, thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. So PGE and Keizer have a long history of working together to resolve issues, and we're thankful for that collaborative approach. We previously submitted comments regarding the proposed ordinance, and tonight I'm just going to highlight a few. Now, one of the wonderful things about being in my role is I have people like my colleague, Tony Quito, who's here, who really handles the technical piece of ordinance like this. So I'm going to keep my comments again. I'm not going to highlight all of our comments. I'm going to highlight a few that are still problematic, even with this late change. Gross revenue definition. We ask for a definition that is consistent with the OPUC definition set forth in its administrative rules and used in other cities. The uniformity provides certainty for your residents and businesses and our customers. Coordination of construction. We ask for language that allows for flexibility in a schedule. We may not have a complete list of proposed construction activities for the entire year. What we're proposing, what has been working, which is we have, and what would benefit the city and PGE is we have real-time discussions on projects contingent on customer schedules, not ours, not yours, but on theirs. Location relocation. One of the things that we noticed is the ordinance doesn't allow for a lot of flexibility. So we're asking for the ability to allow for exceptions due to potential limited right-of-way space, which could create challenges and a cost burden to customers. We ask for your consideration of adopting the current franchise language regarding relocation of electric facilities, which provides clarity on criteria for relocations and timeframes. As the ordinance currently is written, it could be costly to customer projects. And that, again, is even with the changes made. So it would create a cost that would be, would cost customers, both residents and businesses. Permitting requirements. The new proposed language requires work to be completed within 120 days of the issuance of the construction permit. The current permits are valid for 6 months. The new requirement doesn't allow for customer flexibility and could create unnecessary administrative burden to both the city and PGE. We're also concerned regarding new requirements for permits such as detailed drawings and differentiated plans for new construction. This would require an additional cost to customer projects by requiring us to hire an engineering company for the cross-section drawings, and potentially we would need access to the city's GIS system. We also ask, one of the things we didn't see, ask for city notification of potential updates to the permit application requirements and an opportunity to provide feedback. We understand, now these are a few, there are other ones that I haven't touched on. For example, payment. Right now, the city receives an annual payment on or before March 31st. If this were adopted this evening, you would still get your 2023 payment. But starting in 2024, for your own budget awareness, the way it's written today, you would get, and you get one lump sum. It's kind of a lump sum at the beginning of the year for the whole year. The way it's written today, you would get a quarter of that payment 45 days after the first quarter. So there is another unintended impact to you. And I noticed there was no financial impact, but from a cash flow, it potentially does have that impact on you. Now, we understand that good right-of-way management practices are important for keeping roads and facilities in good working order. PGE have had a long-term good working relationship and a good system for regulating what PGE does in the city's right-of-way. If you see issues with other utilities, they can be addressed separately without adding undue costs or burdens to electric customers, your residents, and businesses and our customers. Now, PGE serves approximately 900,000 customers within a service population of 2 million Oregonians in 51 cities. PGE has franchise agreements in 47 of those 51 cities. Now, in the past year, 15 franchise agreements were expiring, and we renewed all 15 of them. And we have several in discussions today, and several who have right-of-way ordinances. Based on our, thank you. I have 2 more sentences, that's okay. If you have any questions.
If you want to finish your last 2 sentences, please do so.
Thank you. Based on our experience, cities value a franchise agreement because it serves your residents, our customers, more than a blanket utility right-of-way ordinance, since it recognizes the difference between an electric utility and other kinds of utilities that don't have an obligation to serve. We respectfully ask for a franchise agreement. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Meredith Pabst?
Yes, good evening, Mayor Clark and council members. My name is Meredith Pabst of Bush Law Firm representing AT&T, and I reside in Washougal, Washington. We sent a detailed comment letter on Friday, and AT&T also previously provided red lines and suggested changes during the stakeholder process. AT&T appreciates that city staff have made some revisions and clarifications to the ordinance. And AT&T has no general objection to the idea of converting a franchising system to a right-of-way license system with codified terms that would otherwise be negotiated under a franchise, so long as you have the opportunity still to separately negotiate a franchise. But this code, in addition to codifying typical terms for a franchise, is creating new fees that will be charged to AT&T for its wireless service in the city of Keizer. This fee in the latest draft is called a right-of-way access fee. And I should step back a bit and say that during the stakeholder process, AT&T had objected to the idea that it would be required to pay right-of-way use fees due to the way use is understood under federal law. The fee remains there, it just has a new name. It's a right-of-way access fee. Neither access nor access fee are defined in the revised ordinance, but AT&T understands from the staff report that the city intends to charge its wireless services a percentage of revenue fee, even though it has no facilities in the right-of-way. AT&T hasn't had a franchise with Keizer in the past. It will not be required to get a license under the new code, but the new code will impose percentage of revenue fees on it. Regardless of whether the fee is called a right-of-way fee or an access fee, such fees are contrary to state and federal law. Just to elaborate on that, it seems that the city intends to charge a percentage of revenue fee for AT&T's wireless services. And in theory, that fee could be characterized as one of two things. It could be a new local tax for the privilege of doing business in the city of Keizer, or it could be a right-of-way use fee. But neither types of these fees can be imposed here. First, a new local tax is preempted by Oregon state law. When the state legislature adopted the corporate activity tax in 2019, it preempted local authority to adopt a new tax. There's some minor exceptions, one including for franchisor right-of-way fees. But here, the proposed right-of-way access fee is no different from a right-of-way use fee, and that is contrary to federal law. So neither can a right-of-way use fee be charged to AT&T. We provided a detailed analysis in our comment letter, including a case on point where there was a wireless provider in the city of Dallas. The wireless provider conceded that it would contract with another utility provider that had telephone lines in the right-of-way to support its wireless facility on private property. The court ruled that Teligent was not using the right-of-way for purposes of federal law in such an instance. AT&T similarly has several wireless facilities within the city of Keizer on, I think most of them are third-party towers. It contracts with both an electric company and with a fiber company to support that private property utility facility. Again, it is not using the right-of-way. It has no facilities in the right-of-way. I thank you for your time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here tonight. Next up, we have, I hope I get this right, Lelch Vega?
It's a difficult one. Leela Vaga tonight here for Wireless
I'm sorry,
Policy
I thought that was an L. Thank you.
My name's Leela Vaga. I'm here, I'm with Wireless Policy Group. I'm a Portland, Oregon resident, and I'm here on behalf of Verizon tonight. I'd like to thank you for your service and for the opportunity to provide this comment. Please allow me to express Verizon's support for the letters submitted on behalf of the wireless industry to date, including the letter from March 17th from Meredith Pabst, whom you just heard from, and also a March 17th letter from my colleague, Ms. Kim Allen. And then CTIA also submitted a letter. That's a industry group for wireless services on February 10th. And those letters together detail several concerns, primarily legal concerns, that the wireless industry has with this ordinance, and Verizon shares those concerns. I'm not going to go into extensive detail about those legal concerns. I am not a lawyer, but I would like to highlight a few of the elements that we find most concerning, especially in the latest draft that we saw. We have not seen the latest changes as of today. Our first concern is a general lack of transparency in the process and lack of time to provide comment and review on this latest draft. This is a complex ordinance with a lot of detail, and this latest version did address some of our concerns, but not the largest of them, and reworked the entire fee structure, and we have less than a week to provide comment on that. And we would very much like the opportunity to have it reviewed in more detail, more industry meetings, more comment period, just to flush it out and make sure that this ordinance really makes sense for the city of Keizer and for the wireless carriers and other providers. We are very concerned about fees passed on to our customers. And it's customary for these kind of taxes to be passed on in customer bills and increase the cost of wireless service for those customers in those areas. In particular, this tax is characterized as a fee when it's in fact a tax. And our concern with that really comes in the way that it's proposed and put out there. So Verizon, similar to AT&T, does not have service or infrastructure in the right-of-way right now in Keizer. We typically put our facilities on private property and then contract for electrical and fiber service like anybody else would, any business, any consumer. So we've heard it proposed that that is a use of the right-of-way, that we are accessing the right-of-way simply by using the data services provided by others when there's no physical infrastructure added whatsoever. That's in fact a double tax on the actual infrastructure. So, CenturyLink or Comcast might put in one set of infrastructure, and then we as wireless carriers would be charged for using that as a customer. We also have concerns, as articulated in the letters, that while this purports to be a right-of-way access fee, it's a fee that is levied for doing business in the city of Keizer, on a utility doing business in the city of Keizer, regardless of whether or not we actually have physical infrastructure in the right-of-way. In that way, it's also a gross revenue fee based on revenues incurred in the city of Keizer, and that would be much better characterized or more accurately characterized as a privilege tax, a tax for the privilege of doing business in the city of Keizer, or similar tax. And that is in fact preempted under Oregon state law, under ORS 317A.158. So really, many of these issues can be resolved. We have confidence that this can be resolved. The wireless ordinances have been updated many times in many jurisdictions lately with the improvements in wireless technology and the changes in how wireless is being deployed. And we are very happy to continue to work with the city of Keizer to help get this ordinance to a place where it makes sense both for the wireless carriers and for the citizens of the city of Keizer. I understand wireless is a highly technical topic, and it requires a certain amount of education of our public officials, from those of us who work with it on a daily basis, to really wrap your minds around the details and the structure. And I'd like to offer that tonight or at any time, we'd be happy to come and meet with anyone with staff or the city to talk about wireless and what it is we do, and this ordinance in particular. Thank you very much for your time, and I sincerely appreciate your service.
Thank you very much. I have nobody else signed up this evening. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council on this matter? Okay, I see no one else signed up. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to turn to you for anything additional.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As I had mentioned at the beginning, with regard to the undergrounding, we feel confident that that change will take care of Salem Electric's concern, PGE's also. We'd be glad to talk further with them if the council doesn't want to vote on this tonight, to make sure that that specific concern is addressed and see if there's any other concerns that they have. I would suggest, though, given that keeping the hearing open causes additional comments to come in, then it's hard to absorb the multitude of comments again, that if council does not want to vote on it tonight, that you certainly do close the hearing, and we could move to another night if that's what council wants. If council does want to vote it on tonight, then you have the version in front of the dais. But I mean, I appreciate the concern and the activity by all the providers, and working with our consultant and my office and Nancy to work through some of these concerns. We feel that we've addressed most of them, but we'd be happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you very much. So on the first question about whether to move forward tonight, I think to your recommendation, Mr. Johnson, that closing the record, but making sure that everybody has had the time to look at the revised language to make sure it actually did address the questions that have been raised.
Right. And I'm going to double check with Reba. It's not just a matter of, when was that sent to the providers, this last version?
Removing the undergrounding?
No, not this one today, but the one before the hearing. The one that was.
Oh, it was sent like a week ago.
Before, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it was about a week and a half. It was we tried to get it out as soon as possible to the providers. So the only change, and for those folks there and some of you testified, the only change I was talking about at the very beginning is a very, very small change in a section 11A with regard to undergrounding. Nothing else was changed. That was the whole concept of getting that out to the providers so they would know this is what's going before the council.
And that requiring undergrounding was not what we were discussing or the intention of this right-of-way ordinance in the first place.
Correct. The intent is not to change
Right.
what we've done in the past at all with regard to undergrounding.
Okay, and that was how I understood it too, so I'm glad that language got clarified. But what I am hearing though is for people to be able to read this over, make sure that the language does reflect that thoroughly. And also, we have 3 counselors who have been on council for between a couple, 3 months and a little over a year. And we're not part of some of the earlier conversations, and there may be some opportunity for them to be able to ask some of their questions of council between now and when voting on it. So is there, at this point, do I need to close the hearing?
Yeah.
So any questions that we need to answer before I close the hearing? Public hearing is now closed. The first question before council is whether to vote on it tonight or to, what's the terminology?
Deliberate or continue to a date certain. And Madam Mayor, if I
And
may.
it's not continue, but is it? Because we're not
It's
continuing
not
public hearing.
continuing, no. My preference is that you, if you don't want to vote on it tonight, is you ask staff to bring it back at an April meeting. At this point, I'd like to confer with Mr. Brown and have a chance. It may not be the first meeting in April. It may have to be the second meeting in April.
Okay.
But definitely one of those meetings if you don't want to vote on it tonight.
Councilor Husman?
As one of the 3-month counselors checking in, I do feel prepared with respect to the right-of-way ordinance issue, and I would like to vote on it tonight, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So we would need consensus of the council to move this to the April meeting versus voting on it tonight. Is that, do we need to do a vote on that, or would that be a matter of consensus?
And unless council as a whole agrees by consensus to move forward, then you would want to vote on bringing it back. I would ask the indulgence of council, if you do so, though, to leave Mr. Brown and I the option of picking which April meeting.
Okay. I would do that. So we have one counselor who has indicated a desire to move forward tonight. Counselor Cross.
I'm prepared to vote tonight.
Okay. And that's 2 of the 3 who have been on.
And I am the 3rd. I would like to, an opportunity to read the additional testimony that was delivered to our spots here on the dais tonight, as well as the updated ordinance. But I appear to be the only one, so.
So we can't go by consensus because we have a difference of opinion. So we'll need a motion on the table to vote on this matter this evening or to move it to a date in April. Counselor Duran.
I motion that we move it to a date in April.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the vote on this ordinance and the accompanying resolution be moved to a council date in April. Discussion. Counselor Cross.
I would ask that I'm out of town on that first meeting, so I would ask that it wouldn't be on that meeting.
That is good information to have. Anything further? Counselor Husman?
Make sure my mic is on. Sorry, Madam Mayor. I credit one of my former professors, Dr. Larry W. Edner, with informing me that a lawsuit is merely a tool of negotiation, Mr. Johnson. And as I review the testimony and the information before us, I think that the environment is prime, and the sides are pretty clear on where they stand. I will freely admit to the council that in considering what Mr. Johnson and what the consultants have put together, I do believe that it is a sensible update and a modern update of the city's right-of-way ordinance. I believe this is absolutely something that the city has done with care. They've taken precaution, and they're helping to bring Keizer into the internet age, the 5G age, and beyond. So thank you again for your hard work on that. I appreciate these sensibilities with respect to our industry representatives. You guys are doing fantastic work, and I think people give lobbyists a bad rap. The fact of the matter is that every industry and every organization has lobbyists. Certainly the city of Keizer does some lobbying on its own behalf with respect to the state. And at the same time, I am generally aware of how good you have to be to earn your paycheck. Top lobbyists certainly make in compensation anywhere from $500,000 to maybe $1 million in terms of annual salary, and you definitely put in the hours for that compensation. That having been said, if companies like Verizon, Northwest Natural, PG&E wish to raise their rates, they could have simply saved some of the time, given every Keizer resident a couple $100, and we could have resolved this sooner.
Thank you. So the question before us, though, is to move, whether to move this to April. Any further discussion on that? Yeah, well, we're not debating the ordinance itself right now. We're only debating whether or not we are moving to a date in April. Any further comments? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Johnson, how long have we been working on this ordinance?
Yeah, we've been working on it for over a year.
Thank you.
Okay.
The first draft was given to the providers in January.
January of 2023?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And have there been some substantial changes from the first draft to what we have today?
Yes. Not the one on the dais. The one in the packet has been the same for the last week and a half or 2 weeks. So we sent it to the providers as soon as the three of us, Ms. Werner, Ms. Coker, and I could agree on several changes and get those drafted, and we got it off to the providers week and a half to 2 weeks ago.
But what we have right here is something that has removed the right-of-way or the undergrounding requirements.
Correct.
And substantially, it's the same as we've
Right.
had for several weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion on the issue of whether to move it to the 20th or to a date in April?
And I would take that to mean the second meeting due to counselors' cross absence.
I think I just kind of slipped with that, but yeah. Okay. So a friendly amendment that it would be a date certain, that would be April what's the date? Second meeting in April, second regular session in April.
17th.
April 17th. Friendly amendment?
I accept.
Okay, the second? Okay, has been, the mover and the second have accepted that, so it would be to the second regular session in April. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no.
No.
Hands,
Okay,
please.
hands for no's. Motion passes 4-3. So the no's were Cross, Hessman, and Kohler. Okay, so this will come back to us on April 17th for a vote. And anything else that we need to cover tonight?
I think that covers it.
All right, thank you very much.
If I could, Ms. Warner, thank you for your help and listening.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
All right, appreciate that very much. Okay. Let me get back to my agenda. Okay. It is. Item 8A is the service line warranty program. And this would go to Mr. Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. What we have in front of you is a result of us talking with you on January 17th. There's a program through the National League of Cities that is known as the Service Line Warranty Program. After the initial presentation, council asked staff to bring back the proposal for consideration. We did a little bit of research and found that you can purchase an insurance like this in the community from actually this specific provider and other providers. The National League of Cities agreement allows them to get a reduced rate for that service. To restate the service, what it is one would be a water service line that protects any damage to your line between the point of tap to the city's water main and the home. And typically your home warranties or home insurances don't cover that. And then the same would be true for the exterior sewer service line from the point it leaves your house till it enters the city's sewer main. So to get a feel for what the cost would be, for a water line, that insurance would be $5.25, and for a sewer line, $7.25. And they also offer a package for in-home plumbing. This is an optional package for residents of Keizer. If the city enters into this agreement, they would use the city logo saying that the city endorses their program, but we would not be responsible for any of the marketing materials or outreach or taking payments for it. That would all be handled through the company. They propose an alternative to add a 10% royalty to it, and the recommendation from staff is not to add that royalty, but just to give the residents an opportunity to have an insurance at a reduced cost from a group rating. And with that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions on the proposal or the staff report for this service? I do have one question. It's probably in here, and I'm going to claim a Monday brain freeze. In selecting local providers for them to provide the services for repairs, how is that done? And are there barriers to smaller providers being able to be among the list of service providers that they contract with? Does that make sense?
What I'm told is that they look for local providers. I don't think there's anything in the agreement that contractually obligates them to do that, but I'm told that they use local providers. They arrange it, and it's worked out to be a pretty smooth process.
Well, I guess my question is more on the process of recruiting and retaining local providers, making sure that it's as inclusive as possible, especially with disadvantaged business enterprises.
We, Madam Mayor, would be happy to take any businesses that want to participate in this and pass them forward to the company so that they would have those resources.
And if they could then be also sent the link to COBID, which is the certification office for business through Business Oregon. And they're the ones who certify companies as disadvantaged. They also have women-owned, service-disabled, veteran-owned, and minority-owned businesses are all certified through that office. So it's a one-stop shop, and it's a really slick website for being able to make sure that they are getting the contact information for as diverse a base of providers as possible. So this would be something that would be very important, I believe, for promoting small businesses and disadvantaged businesses in our region.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, we'd be happy to use that with USP, the company.
Okay. Anything further? Okay. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move we authorize the city manager to enter into a non-royalty marketing agreement with Utility Service Partners, Inc., USP, for an initial term of 3 years, subject to city attorney review with an additional 1-year renewal.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council authorize the city manager to enter into a non-royalty marketing agreement with Utility Service Partners, Inc., USP, for an additional term of 3 years, subject to city attorney review with an additional 1-year renewal. Friendly amendment that this agreement include a reference to and connection with the co-bid registration service for disadvantaged business enterprises.
I accept that friendly amendment.
As do I.
Okay, the amendment has been accepted. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, signify by saying no.
No.
Okay, and that was Councilor Kohler. Motion passes 6-1 with the no from Councilor Kohler. All right. Okay, so we are on the consent calendar, which is why you had to scroll quickly to the top.
That is why, yes.
Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The items on the consent calendar are approval of February 21st, 2023 regular session minutes. Item B, approval of February 27th, 2023 work session minutes. And item C, approval of March 6th, 2023 regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Are there any polls? Council President Starr.
I move to accept the consent calendar as written.
Second.
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Other business, this time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new oral matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Brown, any items for tonight's under other business?
Madam Mayor and Council, I don't have any other items.
Thank you very much. Any council members with any other business that are not on tonight's agenda? All right, then let's go to staff updates. Mr. Brown.
I'm going to pass. I think my friend Mr. Wood might have something, though.
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Davis.
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
Chief.
Nothing, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one thing, want to let the council know that the contractor took advantage of the nice weather last week and fixed the trench patches on Windsor Island Road, just north of Lock Haven. Yes. Temporary patch, but it rides almost like a brand new road. So they have to do their final lift of payment when they get ready, the weather gets better and warmer, they can do that. But for now, they got the bumps out and it's nice and smooth again.
Thank you. It was awful. Mr. Johnson.
Nothing tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Council member reports. Councilor Cross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I feel like it's been a lot longer than 2 weeks since we've been here, so it's been fun. It's gone by fast. The State of the County luncheon was great. You did an amazing job at the State of the City in Keizer, so thank you for that. I attended the Latino Business Alliance Pan Dulce. They had about 70 people there, so that was super amazing to see that group just growing and growing. I also was able to attend the Oregon Restaurant Lodging Association Pro Start Culinary Program for high school students. So there was about 10 high schools that competed in both the management program and the culinary program. So it was great to see our kiddos from C-Tech out there. I know that we didn't have a team from McNary this year, but I have talked to Principal Jesperson and just reached out that we are there for them any way that we can help. And this week we will have the State of the City for Salem, and I attended Salem Chamber's monthly forum today.
that was about the rising effects of fentanyl. So I think that that is a big issue right now, and I appreciate Salem Health informing the public. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Councilor Duran.
Yeah, I had quite a few things going on this last couple weeks also, which is kind of weird since we had a lot of things that were canceled. Two neighborhood association meetings were canceled in lieu of listening to the mayor with the state of the city address, which was very nice to hear what's going on. The state of the county address was also something that was nice to hear, nice to see all the people engaged from across our community. I went to the GAC, the Keizer Chamber Government Affairs Committee, last week, and we talked a little bit about this ordinance. That was it came up and people were concerned about that. But the biggest thing that I've seen in the last 2 weeks is the mental health issues that have come up in every meeting that I've been in. That's an issue here in the county and the city and across Oregon. So that's something that we all, I know everybody here is got some thoughts on that, but it's something that is very, very serious, and we all need to, work as much as we can to figure that out. So other than the few other little things that I had going on this week, that's been probably the biggest thing on my mind.
Thank you very much. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it has been a busy couple weeks. On Thursday the 9th, I managed to hit 3 different meetings in one evening. I was not able to make the police academy and didn't get to play with the canines, but that's okay. We had volunteer coordinating committee, the library board meeting, and the neighborhood meeting with the state of the city that night. And then the next night we had the women in construction dinner, which always fun to attend that and hear their stories in celebration or in partnership with Women's History Month. We had the city chamber luncheon this month, which was the state of the city. We had the joint city meeting with the Board of County Commissioners. And again, that was enlightening conversation. Wednesday night, I learned the basics of land use planning with the League of Oregon Cities. And then I did get to attend this last week, the Citizen Police Academy. So looking forward to finishing that up and hopefully graduating with honors.
She's not competitive or anything. Chief, when is the next one going to be held? We've had people online already asking, and there's a high interest.
The next Citizens Academy?
Yes.
Well, I'm surprised we didn't fill this one.
You didn't fill this one?
No.
Okay.
Well, it's not planned until next year, but if we get a crush of interest, we might be able to kick it off again later this year. There's been no talk of it, but it's possible.
Okay.
So if people are interested, have them get a hold of somebody at the PD, me, or Copeland preferably.
Okay. So anybody interested, get a hold of Chief Teague or Lieutenant Copeland and let you know that they want to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one of these days I'm going to sign up myself. I know, I've got too many meetings. Councilor Kohler.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. The only thing I graduated with was honorees, not honors, but that's another thing. It has been extremely busy 2 weeks. I think I got 10 meetings that I went to. I just kind of looked at it and went, holy smoke, I missed February. But said course State of the County, the Zoom Audit Committee, Joint Community Neighborhood Association. You missed that one, didn't you? You were there too. The Civic Center cleanup, just a special thank you for all that came. We had there was about 110 or so people there, which made it possible to really fill that up. And again, as a member of or a liaison for the Clyde Creek Watershed Council, who was one of the sponsors for that, just an extra thank you, because that really does make a difference. Long Range Planning Task Force, the State of the City, the Chamber version, the Government Affairs Committee, the Parks Board, Marion County Commissioners meeting, Commercial Air Service starting July 24th. And Keizer United today, they received enough donations to actually serve a meal to about 700 teachers during the conferences this week. So,
Wow.
so Counselor Reed, if you'll tell us how that was, I'd appreciate it. And speaking of meals, this Wednesday is the Keizer Community Dinner, 4 to 6. Come on down and visit with your neighbors and have a meal.
Fantastic. Open to all. Do we know what's on the menu?
Nope.
Oh.
I know the library is serving, so.
Barbecue chicken wings. Okay. That sounds fantastic. What a great way to celebrate the start of spring, which is today.
Yep.
Councilor Hussman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Holy cow. Councilor Cross, Café Pan Dulce with Latino Business Alliance was really fun. I had a great time. It was the first time I'd met any of those folks, so I'm glad I got to join you and Mr. Brown over there. Very much enjoyed that. I am thankful to those individuals. Okay, there we go. Thought something was wrong with my voice for a second. Thanks to everyone in the room and watching this on TV who attended the neighborhood association meeting / state of the city. I really took a lot from that experience. I was able to have some long substantive conversations with, I think, every single neighborhood association representative for quite some time, get the full flavor of everything. And the spirit of the evening, I think, was very strong and constructive in terms of what we want to do to attack our goals. So for that, I am definitely grateful. Mr. Wood, thank you again for the long-range task force meeting. That was a very insightful presentation. Glad we could run through that. Looking forward to subsequent meetings. TSBP was also last week. A lot more attention, in a bit of a microcosm here, but a lot more attention on some of the traffic issues around Southeast Keizer, which it's wonderful that the folks on that committee are driving that. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll have little something for them soon, maybe just maybe, but I don't want to promise what I cannot deliver. And I better just yield my time. Councilor Reed. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Councilor Reed.
Well, thank you. So most of what I've attended has already been mentioned, so I shan't belabor the point, but I did attend a McNary Choir concert, and it was very excellent, and it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed that a lot. I went to the Keizer Heritage Foundation meeting, and there's a lot going on there. The Keizer Homegrown Theater is in production with The Odd Couple, and they have got one more week to go, and that was a fantastic production. I went to see that last weekend, and as did the mayor, and so that was a lot of fun. And then probably one of my favorite events of these last couple of weeks was the senior versus staff basketball game. That was, and that was quite amazing. One of the favorite highlights for me, anyway, is one of my former students who used to be on the senior side was now playing for the staff, and the staff won, as they usually do, but it was very close, and it was just a lot of fun, and everybody worked really hard, and it was quite the evening. I had a lot of fun. So that is about it as far as I know. Upcoming, we have the Arts Commission, and we have the Community Diversity Engagement Group, and spring break. Woohoo! Yay.
Spring break. Fantastic.
Conferences before that. Oh, yeah. Conferences for everybody before that. So Wednesday and Thursday, there are conferences at all levels, elementary, middle, and high school. So
go to conferences and then go on spring break.
Yes, see the websites for the times.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Youth Counselor Sarmiento.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is my icon?
Yeah, you are.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry. On March 10th, McNary had their blood drive, and as well, the Wind Ensemble and the Advanced Symphony Orchestra went to George Fox Festival of Music, and both groups earned state qualifying scores, so that's exciting. On March
Bravo.
14th, as Ms. Reed mentioned, there was a choir concert, and conferences will be Wednesday through Thursday. I'm not sure about the times, but as Ms. Reed mentioned, you could check the website. And then today we had the girls and boys golf team at 11 a.m. at the McNary Golf Course, and boys tennis at 4 p.m., varsity baseball at Sherwood, girls tennis at Silverton. And tomorrow we have the softball. We have softball games and tennis games Tuesday and Thursday at 5. One is at home, and then the other one is at Gresham at 4:30, I believe. And on Wednesday, we have the JV and varsity baseball at West Albany. On Thursday, we have track at Silverton. And what else? And then 5. Oh, it did? Oh, my Lord. Sorry about that. Oh, and then baseball, JV, and varsity, 4:30 at home. And that is it. Thank you.
So if anybody is really wanting to get out for spring sports, look no farther than McNary High School. Go on down, support our local student athletes, and it's easily accessible. You can walk, bike, ride, and get there and enjoy something close to home. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So, yes, thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this year's State of the City Address. Thank you to City Council, staff members, and community for allowing me to share with you some thoughts about where our city is and where we're going, and it's all because we're doing it together. So I really appreciate that time of sharing, and I'm looking forward to reporting next year on how much we're getting done this year. And boy, howdy, if anybody's schedule, and it sounds like everybody's is like mine, it's like, okay, let's go, let's do this. So happy first day of spring. A couple of things to add into what we've been talking about here is the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance, of which we are a member, is working very hard on the next steps for the executive order from the governor, 2302, regarding housing and homelessness. There's been a change. What a surprise. All of the prevention work is going to be handled by our community action agencies statewide, so that is going to simplify matters for the two other areas of shelter capacity and what the other piece is, and I just had a blank in my head. Anyways, it's shelter capacity and rapid rehousing. So we'll be having a meeting tomorrow to talk about some of that, what our next steps are as an alliance, and also finally be able to take care of a contract that has been languishing over at Department of Justice. We finally were able to extract it, and we can finally sign that between the Alliance and the Oregon Housing and Community Services. 2 months late, but whatever. We're getting the work done anyway. The Council of Governments Legislative Committee is also working very hard on House Bill 30, gosh, too many numbers. 3174 for adding additional planning capacity at all the councils of government, including ours, statewide, to deal with a number of the unfunded mandates that have come down regarding transportation, housing planning, GIS services and so forth. Because these council of governments cover 80% of the population in Oregon, it's a very efficient way of being able to deliver services, but they've got to increase staff, but then they can serve a lot of the smaller communities that don't have the level of staffing that is necessary in order to do the kind of planning and infrastructure that they need to do moving forward. So looking forward to that bill continuing to work through. I did join Councilor Cross and so many others at the Family Building Blocks and Sustainers event. And former Governor John Kitzhaber was the keynote speaker there, and it was very not only informative, but also just a reminder of how important it is that we are taking care of our children and families at a level that it has a 99% success rate of keeping children safely in their homes and avoiding having to go in the foster care system. Fantastic. That is our community, getting it done for children and our families. At the Commissioner's Breakfast, and I appreciate Councilor Duran bringing this up, is we had a very substantial conversation about not only jail capacity, but also what are policies being made at the state that impact the ability of Marion County and then all of our law enforcement to be able to handle people who need to be in timeout, jail, for any period of time. That is putting a lot of the services back into the county that should be, in our humble opinion, handled by the state. So there was a great conversation about what we need to do to take care of people with behavioral health needs, mental health, mental illness, and policies from the Oregon Health Authority that we collectively need to be looking at, where we can talk to our legislators about how do we get services, facilities on a sustainable level to take care of people in our community and stop messing around going, well, maybe somebody else can fix it. No, it's on to us, and we're going to lean in and tell them how they can fix it and take care of people who maybe can't take care of themselves. But they are neighbors and deserve to be treated with the dignity and respect for our fellow human beings. One last thing. I had the pleasure of doing my Coffee with Kathy broadcast on Saturday and welcomed Diane Watson, who represents the City of Keizer area on Zone 6 for the Chemeketa Community College Board of Education, and hoping that she will now be a regular on that broadcast. It's a broadcast that brings together elected officials from the different governments that cover the Keizer area, and that includes the Keizer Fire District, the Transit District, the school district, and now Chemeketa, as well as the city. So we want to make this program as informative as possible. So if you have a recommendation, email me at clarkc@keizer.org and let me know who you would like to see on that program in future months. Just a couple things coming up will be the Homeless Alliance will have a board meeting tomorrow, and we're going to be also next week, Salem Keizer Area Transportation Study will be having our monthly meeting on a number of issues, but including the traffic, the Metropolitan Safety, Transportation Safety Action Plan. And there is a survey online. You see it on my Facebook page. We've got it on city pages. We want your input on that plan, and there's an interactive site open right now. Go on there. It's kind of fun to play around with. I've been on there and hope that you will have some input on what will make transportation safer in our area. That is all I have for this evening. And agenda, any by the ways? As we were thinking, okay. Agenda input, next Monday night, March 27th at 6 p.m., we will meet for a safety training and work session. On April 3rd, 7 p.m., we will meet in regular session. April 10th, at 6 p.m. will be our work session on 2023-2024 goal setting. April 17th, we'll meet in regular session. And then we get a little bit of a break, May 1st, 7 p.m., regular session. That's what's coming up. Anything else for the good of the order? All right, the time is 8:31 and we are adjourned.